thank you for participating in the Akron Regional Air Quality Management District's open burning training presentation for the fire departments of Summit, Portage, and Medina counties. Let's start with a brief history of the Akron Regional Air Quality Management District, or ARAQMD for short. ARAQMD actually predates the Ohio EPA. In 1948, it started as a smoke abatement committee, and in 1965, it became an official part of the Akron Health Department. In 1971, ARAQMD contracted with all of the local health departments in Summit, Medina, and Portage counties to become a regional air agency affiliated with the Ohio EPA. ARAQMD is one of 8 local air agencies currently contracted with the Ohio EPA in Ohio. The mission of the Akron Regional Air Quality Management District is to protect the public from the adverse health impacts of air pollutants and to educate the public about air quality issues. Our organization is made up of 3 sections. The enforcement section covers open burning, asbestos regulations, and fugitive dust requirements. In addition, we have an ambient air monitoring section and an air permitting section. So why did we decide to create this training? ARAQMD receives more complaints about open burning than any other air quality issue. One of the best ways to address these issues is to work in collaboration with our local fire departments. This training explains what we can and cannot address and talks about how we can work together to help reduce open burning. Our complaints are about people open burning, which according to the Ohio Administrative Code is the burning of any materials in an area without a chimney or a smokestack. Open burning also includes the burning of any material in any device that isn't subject to or specifically designed to comply with the requirements of the Ohio Administrative Code. Most of the time, the complaints are about open fires, but occasionally we get complaints about home boilers, wood-burning stoves, and fireplaces, all of which have a chimney or a stack. These complaints are much harder to follow up on when we don't have the ability to open up private residential boilers, stoves, and fireplaces. So why is open burning such a problem? Aside from noxious odors and the potential for out-of-control fires, the pollutants released by open burning make it difficult to meet health-based air quality standards. Think about the contents of household waste. Burning this waste produces many toxic chemicals and is actually the largest known source of dioxin in the United States. What is actually prohibited from being burned? The list includes garbage, any petroleum products, tires, rubber, grease, and asphalt. In general, dead animals cannot be burned. Open burning is prohibited when air pollution warnings, alerts, or emergencies are in effect. Fires cannot obscure visibility for roads, railroad tracks, or airfields, and no waste that was generated off of the premises is allowed to be burned. For example, a tree trimming contractor may not haul branches and limbs to another site to burn. Are there any exceptions? Under certain circumstances, yes. However, to burn any prohibited material or set a fire in a restricted area, you must receive written permission from Ohio EPA before you begin burning. You must notify ARAQMD in writing prior to being burned. So what is actually allowed to be burned? It all depends on where you live. The Ohio Administrative Code defines a restricted area as the area within the boundary of any city or village plus a zone extending 1,000 feet beyond the boundaries of any municipal corporation having a population of 1,000 to 10,000 residents, and a zone extending 1 mile beyond the boundaries of a municipal corporation with 10,000 or more residents. An unrestricted area is any area outside of the boundaries of a restricted zone. For example, you might consider Springfield Township as a restricted area since it is not a city or a village. However, portions of Springfield Township are bordered by Akron and Greene, both cities of greater than 10,000 residents. So the restricted area of those cities extends 1 mile into Springfield. It is important to determine whether a property is in a restricted area or an unrestricted area to determine what type of material is allowed to be burned. What can actually be burned in a restricted or an unrestricted area? In a restricted area, barbecues, campfires, and cookouts are allowed, but they can only burn clean, dry wood stacked no higher than 2 feet high by 3 feet wide. Agricultural waste can be burned, and ceremonial fires are allowed, but both require notification to Ohio EPA or the local air agency, in this case ARAQMD, before the burn takes place. Occupational fires such as 55-gallon drums burning clean dry wood for workers' warmth are allowed. In an unrestricted area, they can burn everything the same as in a restricted area, but they do not need to notify ARAQMD of any agricultural waste burns or any ceremonial fires. They may also burn residential waste, such as cardboard or paper generated from that household, but no garbage. Garbage can never be open burned. There are different types of fires or burns. Agricultural waste is any waste material generated by crop, horticultural, or livestock production practices. This does not include buildings, land clearing waste, dead animals, or animal waste. The fire must be more than 1,000 feet from any neighbor's inhabited buildings. The wood must be stacked and completely dried out. As mentioned, agricultural waste burning in restricted areas must notify ARAQMD in advance. It is recommended that everyone notify the local fire department in advance. Land clearing is plant waste material removed from the land for the purpose of agricultural, residential, commercial, or industrial land development. It is prohibited in restricted areas. In unrestricted areas, written permission from ARAQMD is required, and the fire must be 1,000 feet from any neighbor's inhabited buildings. An air curtain destructor must be used. Ceremonial fires, such as those at football games, scouting events, church functions, etc., must be made of clean dry wood only and may be 5 feet wide and 5 feet high. They can only last 3 hours or less. Restricted areas must notify ARAQMD in advance, and fire chiefs or assistant chiefs must sign the notification before they are accepted. It is recommended that everyone notify the local fire department in advance. Occupational fires include welding torches, heating tar, and heating for the warmth of outdoor workers and people on strike. They must use clean, dry, untreated wood contained in a 55-gallon drum. Residential waste is any waste material, including landscape waste, wood, and paper, generated on the property of a 1, 2, or 3 family residence as a result of residential activities. The material must be stacked and dried out. It does not include garbage, rubber, grease, asphalt, liquid petroleum products, or plastic. Burning of residential waste is prohibited in restricted areas. In unrestricted areas, the fire must be more than 1,000 feet from any neighbor's inhabited buildings. When does someone need to notify ARAQMD that they are going to burn? The following types of burns require notification. Recognized horticultural burns include slash and burn cultivation, where regions of wild foliage are cut and burned, producing nutrient-rich biochar in which to grow crops. Silvicultural burning is the practice of controlling the establishment, growth, composition, health, and quality of forests. Range management influences species composition, vegetation structure and dynamics, habitat values, and ecosystem functioning. Grassland management involves removing dead plant residues through controlled burning, which invigorates grassland by creating open soil for new grass growth. Burning is especially useful in killing weed seeds, insects, and other pests, as well as recycling nutrients to promote vigorous plant growth. Invasive species management results in increased vegetation productivity and diversity of plant and wildlife species. Wildlife management improves forage quality and enhances wildlife habitat. Most of these types of burns are done by Metro Park systems and other state or federal agencies. Open burning notification forms can be found on Ohio EPA's website and must include the following: the physical address or parcel number of the burn site, a sketch of the site location and the nearby structures. The form must be signed by the local fire chief or assistant chief. The person making notification must notify the population potentially impacted by the smoke and shall document the weather, smoke conditions, and any air quality concerns before, during, and after the fire was kindled. The smoke cannot create a visibility hazard on roads, railroad tracks, or airfields. Here is the recommended open burning notification form that can be found on Ohio EPA's website. A different form may be considered acceptable if it contains all of the pertinent required information. Here you will see the section that must be signed by the fire chief or assistant chief, as well as an example of a hand-drawn sketch showing the burn area. Open burning permits are actual written permission given by the Ohio EPA or the local air agency, ARAQMD in this case. Permits are required for several reasons, including land clearing, disposal of ignitable or explosive materials, firefighter training or research, emergency circumstances, fires or pyrotechnic effects for movies or videos, and large residential waste fires and agricultural fires. Permit request forms can be found on Ohio EPA's website. In addition to obtaining a permit when burning a house or other building for fire training, it is necessary to submit a demolition notification to Ohio EPA at least 10 working days prior to the training. The demolition notification is often submitted by the local municipality or the demolition or cleanup company hired to remove the burn debris. A thorough asbestos survey and abatement must occur prior to the training, and all shingles and roof material and vinyl siding must be removed if present. For specific questions or assistance with a fire training permit, please contact ARAQMD. One of the most helpful things that fire departments can do for ARAQMD is to address open burning issues by providing descriptive fire reports. The report should include the size of the illegal burn area, a specific description of what was burning, and who was doing the burning, if known. Take photos if possible, and make them put out the fire before leaving the area. Then submit the fire report to ARAQMD as soon as possible after the incident. We have the ability to write a notice of violation based on the fire report and potentially issue fines if the person is a repeat offender or if the fire was particularly egregious. Fire reports are especially helpful because ARAQMD cannot always immediately respond to a complaint, especially if the burning occurs late at night or over the weekend. Often fire training and fire emergencies involve burning houses or other buildings. One major concern with burning buildings is asbestos. Asbestos was used as a fire retardant, electrical and thermal insulator, thermal and chemical stabilizer, and as a high tensile strengthener to a variety of products. Asbestos is a naturally occurring fibrous mineral used for its insulator properties, high tensile strength, and heat resistance. Asbestos can be found in construction material, heat-resistant products and textiles, brakes, wall coatings, packaging, parchment, and tablecloths. Firefighters are at an increased risk of asbestos exposure. When asbestos-containing materials catch fire, they can crumble or crack, which can release asbestos into the air. Firefighters may also create exposure hazards by tearing through asbestos-contaminated walls or ceilings to make sure that all fires are fully extinguished. Airborne asbestos can cause a number of diseases, including pleural mesothelioma and lung cancer. Older buildings may contain many different asbestos-containing products. These products can be located anywhere in the building. Some of the most common asbestos materials include vermiculite attic insulation, pipe, wiring, or duct insulation, fiberboard and particle board, shingles and roofing materials, plaster, tile, and mastic under the tile, and transite siding. Here you can see a diagram of multiple areas in a home that may contain asbestos-containing materials. As you can see, asbestos can be found in many areas throughout a home. Asbestos usage has declined, and as a result, older homes are more likely to be at risk. There are several options for avoiding or reducing exposure to asbestos. These include washing gear alone, away from other clothing, using washers and dryers that are specifically designed for asbestos-contaminated gear, and using additional rinse cycles. It is beneficial to wear respirators and sleeved aprons during cleaning, vacuuming the item with high-efficiency particulate HEPA filters, and leaving gear in designated storage spaces at the fire station. It is important to shower to rinse away any asbestos residue before heading home. This training focuses specifically on firefighters, so it will not go into the specifics of asbestos abatement. However, here is a photo of a room that is prepped for abatement. All critical barriers such as windows, doors, and the HVAC system are covered. All equipment that could not be removed is also covered so that water can be sprayed to control and capture any particulates or dust that may be present during asbestos removal. After abatement, all workers go through a 3-stage decontamination process to rinse off and collect any possible asbestos fibers before leaving the site. This concludes the general fire department training created by ARAQMD. If you have any follow-up questions or you would like any additional information, the contact information is provided here. Thank you.